Good morning, Rob Kress here, functional pharmacist with your Pillar of Wellness tip of the day. We're gonna get into nutrients and thyroid today. Now, if you've been tuned in the last few days, I talked about issues of thyroid activity, hypo, hyper, drug-induced hyper, and I mentioned how it's really important to work to make the thyroid more efficient, and that should be our goal, and nutritional therapy can play a role in this. So let me share with you a couple things that I like. Simple nutrients, the A, the D, the zinc, and the selenium, for two ways. They help with thyroid metabolism, and they also help with the conversion of T4, free T4, that inactive one, over to free T3, the active thyroid. Now also, we've got some antioxidant potential here as well. So the A, the zinc, selenium, you could throw some curcumin on there possibly, because one of the challenges with thyroid are free radicals, right? So antioxidants are good. So this is nice from a foundational point of view, things that we can have in a thyroid support supplement or in a multivitamin. Now I'm going to go back to vitamin D. What vitamin D does, it helps with receptor activity. So we've got our thyroid hormone that's floating around, and it needs to attach to these receptors. Well, we need to have an efficiency so those thyroid receptors know how to accept it in. Vitamin D does that job. So what we want to do is we want to optimize our vitamin D levels, which means you have to have your levels tested. You'll see the lab test will say optimal range is 30 to 100. Well, 60 to 80, maybe 60 is a sweet spot. Key on in for that. So that's a great benefit. Then we got all the other good vitamin D stuff. Iron, really important. I don't want you to just to take iron, it needs to be measured. Best way to measure it would be with ferritin levels. You need a level of about 90 to 120. And what iron does, it helps drive T3, remember T3 is the active thyroid, into the nucleus of the cell. So you could measure your T3, it could be floating around doing fine in the blood, but we don't know if it's going into the nucleus of the cell. So that could be an issue. So thus the reason for iron. Next one we have is iodine. So iodine is food for the thyroid. It's one of the components that actually make up thyroid. We're in a functionally low iodine state. Yes, we fixed the goiter problem back in the 40s by adding iodine to food sources and salts, but we could do better. Our RDA is 160 micrograms. When you look over in Asia and people that live by the sea that eat a lot of seafood that's iodine rich, that have lower risks of thyroid cancer, cardiovascular disease, all that stuff, they consume an average of about 1 milligram of iodine a day. So that gives you an idea. Now, there's some practitioners that jack it up really high, 25, 50 milligrams. I'm not suggesting you do that, especially without talking to a practitioner that's knows how to do that, right? And that's good with that. Coleus is another one. Coleus will actually help for efficiency of thyroid as well. That is an herb. It can help with a little thyroid stimulating activity too. Actually, and so could Google lipids. So these guys, or women, whatever they are, I don't recommend that they be given in the case of like a high thyroid state, because they might stimulate the gland a little more than you need if you're hyperthyroid as well. One of my absolute favorites is ashwagandha. If you remember, I talked about adrenal issues, cortisol. Well, ashwagandha is an adaptogen for the adrenals, right? So super important there. It helps with stamina, it helps with cortisol levels, it helps with a calmness, it helps with endurance. But what it also does is it supports the conversion of T4 to T3, free T4 to free T3. So you're getting like two bird type, one stone type here. So all this stuff, I really recommend. So if you're looking to help your thyroid out a little more efficiency, I like supplements this way. This you can actually find from Pure Encapsulations and Thyroid Support Complex. If you go up to my link, if you go to robkress.com, Nutritional Dispensary, you can find it there, just Thyroid Support Complex. I'll put the code in here, 15% off, ship right to your door. And please let me know if you have any questions, and have a great weekend.